I headed out that day to get a new horse. 4-year-old chestnut filly named Starling, the wire message said. Strong family lines. Just $175. I rode 30 miles into wind that sliced like a sharp blade. It was 20 below freezing, and I kept my mind busy with ideas about making money and picking good horses to breed. That's the sort of thing a rancher with some cash thinks about to chase away the quiet. The barn had a bad smell even before I nudged the door open. Like old hay and metal, with something sour underneath. It reminded me of sickness gone bad. My breath hung heavy in the low light sneaking through cracks in the walls. Then I heard it, a kid's rough, wet cough bouncing off the hard stone. He was tied to a post with a chain around his ankle. Maybe 9 years old, but he looked more like 6. His lips were blue from the cold, and there was blood on the rag he tried to tuck behind his back. A bucket for need sat there, not emptied in 3 days. The water dish next to his one skinny blanket was frozen hard as rock. "Please," he whispered. "I'm real good and quiet. I swear." The barn door groaned behind me, and heavy boots thudded closer. A man's voice came out smooth and cocky. "You here for the filly?" I turned around slow. The guy in the doorway was wide in the belly, face red even in the chill, sweat soaking his shirt collar. Harlan Crow, I knew of him. He ran the bank in Willow Ridge. Had loans tied up on half the farms in the valley. "I'm here for a horse," I said. "Not for whatever mess this is." He rubbed his hands on his dirty pants. "Boy's mine, fair and square. Got the papers to prove it. Legal guardian and all. He's chained up like a dog. A wild one's no better. Bit my boy right through the hand. This keeps things safe." And he grinned, showing teeth yellowed from chew. "You want the filly? She's back in the stall. $175, just like we said." I glanced at the kid again. He'd hugged his knees tight to his chest, trying to shrink away. The metal cuff had rubbed his ankle sore and bloody, crusted dark around the edges. In his other hand, he held a scrap of blue cloth, the only thing in that whole barn that felt like it came from a real person. "What's your name?" I asked him. "Don't got leave to talk," he whispered back. Something inside me turned icy and tough, like a stone in my heart. I went to my horse, yanked the rifle from its holder, and stepped back inside. Harlan's fingers jerked toward his belt. "I wouldn't do that," I warned. I slammed the rifle's end against the chain 3 hard times. The rusty lock snapped on the third whack, clanging loud like a cracked bell on the stone floor. The kid jumped a little at each hit, but he didn't make a sound. I wrapped him up in my coat. He was light as a feather, just skinny bones and scared held together by grit. When I picked him up, he froze stiff like wood. "It's okay," I said. "You're getting out of here." "Well, you can't just," Harlan started. "I can, and I am." As I carried him past, out into the wind that stole my air. My wagon waited 20 yards away, my horse pawing the frozen ground. Behind me, Harlan's voice got loud and whiny. "That's stealing him. I'll get the law on you before the sun's down." I was easing the kid into the wagon bed, piling blankets around his shaky body, when I heard hooves pounding fast. A rider galloped up the trail hard. Sheriff Lena Thorpe pulled her horse to a stop next to us, her badge glinting in the weak winter sun. She was 52, toughened by years, with eyes that had stared down too many hard sights to get shocked easy. "Hold it steady," she said. "Those eyes scan everything, me, the kid," Harlan yelling from the barn door. Harlan sent word 10 minutes back. "Claims you're taking his kid without right." "Does he now?" I said. "That's so, Ilara. Depends if you think it's stealing to free a sick kid from chains that are killing him." The sheriff's office smelled like stale coffee and coal fire. I set the kid in a chair by the stove while Lena leaned against her desk, arms folded. He hadn't said a word since the barn. Just stared at the floorboards, shaking even with the heat. "Harlan's got the papers for guardianship," Lena said. Parents gone 2 years now. Wagon tip over. He's the Mars brother, only kin left. You see how he treats him. I've seen plenty I don't care for, Ilara. Don't make it against the rules. I fiddled with my pocket watch without meaning to. An old trick of mine. Like winding it tight would give me extra time if I watched close. Tick-tock. 2:47. Then change the rules. Can't just snap my fingers like that. The door swung open. Doc Myra Langford bustled in on a whoosh of frosty air, her doctor's bag swinging. She was slim and sharp-eyed, a woman who'd lost her husband and boy to sickness years back before heading out west. She glanced at the boy and her chin set firm. Lena called me over, she said. Let's take a peek at what's going on. She got down on her knees by the chair, taking it easy. What's your name, little one? The boy's voice was soft, like a puff of wind. Finn. But Uncle Harlan calls me Finny. Finn's a strong name. I'm Doc Langford. I'm gonna give you a quick look-see. Okay? Won't sting a bit. Myra got to work quietly, listening to his chest with her ear horn, peeking at his eyes and throat, and checking that sore ankle. When she spotted the bloody rag stuffed in Finn's pocket, she lifted it up to the lamp's glow. The spots were dark, nearly black. How long you been hacking up blood, Finn? Myra asked. Don't know exactly. Feels like forever. Myra got up and pulled Lena and me off to the side. When she talked, her words came out steady and serious. It's bad lung sickness, in both sides. He's skinny from not eating right, chilled to the bone, and I bet he hasn't had a proper meal in weeks. Without quick help, he's got maybe 6 weeks. With good care, 6 months if luck's on our side. The room seemed to spin a touch. I gripped the desk edge to stay steady. Sheriff, Myra said, locking eyes with Lena straight on. You gotta pick now, a stack of papers or that boy's chance to keep breathing. Lena stayed quiet a good while, staring at Finn. He'd drawn his knees up tight again, curling small in the seat. At last, he let out a deep breath, like hauling a heavy load. 2 days, Ilara. I'll tell Harlan it's a health crisis, and you're watching over him till the judge swings by. Silas Kane's route hits town the day after next. He'll sort it. Lena's hand sat easy on his gun holster. But if you skip out, I'll track you down and cuff you tight. Got it? I got it. Fine. Warm him up. Feed him good. Myra, scribble a health note for the judge. I scooped Finn up once more. He was already dozing off on my shoulder, too worn out for worry. As I headed for the door, Lena called out. Ilara. Harlan Crow holds grudges like iron traps. He won't let this slide, and he owns strings on half this place. The meeting house smelled like damp coats and shiny wood. Every seat was packed, foggy breaths floating up from folks who'd ridden 24 miles into the chilly space with no fire. Judge Silas Kane perched at a simple table up front, the schoolmaster's old desk yanked into place, while Harlan Crow loomed to his right, backed by 2 fellas in sharp city suits. Railroad types, by their fancy ties. I took the first bench with Finn right next to me. Myra had washed him up nice and slipped him into some hand-me-down clothes, but the boy still seemed half-faded. His breaths were short and rattly, and 2 times while things dragged on, he coughed into the fresh rag I'd handed him. He always turned away quick to hide the red spots. Harlan laid out his stack first. Guard papers all signed and stamped, a note from his bank's bosses saying he was upstanding, even a word from his preacher man. Your Honor, he said, that slick tone from the barn rolling out strong. I get Mrs. Thorne's worry, but feelings don't beat the rules. Finn's under my watch, set by this court 2 years gone. I've covered his roof, his bites to eat, his doctor fixes, at big cost from my own pocket. Someone way back cleared their throat. Sounded like they weren't buying it. Plus, Harlan went on, Mrs. Thorne's moves, even if from a kind spot, amount to swiping him off. She busted onto my land, wrecked my gear, and hauled my boy away with no say-so. This soft-hearted stuff hurts trade, Your Honor. Hurts all of us here. If folks with cash can just grab what's theirs on a whim instead of by law, what's left to stand on? A few nods rippled through. Shop owners, mostly, the ones with tabs at Harlan's bank. You could see the split clear as day, the polished crowd on one flank, everyday workers on the other, and quiet in between like ice over a creek. Judge Kane turned my way. Mrs. Thorne, your turn. I rose up. I ain't got slick documents, Your Honor. Just my own eyes. That boy was locked in a barn in 20 below freeze, spitting blood with no warmth or tending. Doc Langford's health note's right there for you to read. It tells it straight. The health note says the boy's sick. Silas said it don't prove bad care. No, he was tied up for his own good. Harlan says kids can be a handful, especially after hard stuff like losing folks. Those words hit me like rocks in my belly. I peeked at Finn. He was staring down at the ground, trying to fade away. Then Clara Voss popped up from the third row. She was 65, bossed the inn, and had a voice rough like river rocks. Judge Silas, if I could say something. Mrs. Voss. I mind when Harlan Crow was a young UN. He drowned a pup once 'cause it yapped too loud. Tossed it in a water trough while his ma was at prayer meeting. That boy never stood a chance with a man like him. The room fell hush as a held breath. Then, easy as dawn, the banker's lady got up and scooted next to Clara. Another lady tagged along, then a farm worker. The gap in the crowd stretched wide, like it couldn't be mended. Judge Silas smacked his hammer. Quiet down. This ain't about digging up old dirt. He rustled his papers, and I could see him figuring it all: votes, cash, pull, and the rules. Mr. Crow keeps the watch papers. But with Doc Langford's worries, Mrs. Thorne gets watched visits. 2 hours a week, with Sheriff Thorpe there. We'll look again in 30 days. The hammer dropped. Outside the meeting house, crunchy ice mud snapped under my boots. Myra walked with me, her face pinched mad. Finn was already bundled into Harlan's buggy. He'd yanked him out of the room while the boy twisted back at me with eyes full of a question I had no words for. Ilara, Myra hissed, tugging me to the side. When I checked him in that barn, I dug up something more. A paper tucked under the boards by his chain spot. What kind of paper? A last wish, faked. I reckon the scribbles don't match the real ones from the family files. But it puts Harlan as the only one to grab Finn's stuff if he goes before turning 12. The frosty air bit sharper all sudden. How big's the stuff? $50,000. The spread, water shares for the whole draw, and Digjin writes the train lines after for a path. 50,000? More gold than most chase their whole days. Plenty to end a life over. I was chewing on that when Harlan strolled by, fiddling his hat. He stopped close, voice soft so just my ears caught it. He'll be gone in 30 days anyhow, Thorne. Don't waste coin on law dogs. The way he said it made me stare hard. What coin's that, Harlan? His cheeks went white for a blink, but I caught it. The slip-up, letting out he knew the sick clock he'd pretended to fight. He shook it off quick, smirking. Just smarts. Boys plain fadin' dot. He hopped in his buggy and cracked the lines. But I'd spotted it. The mistake. The real deal. Lena Thorpe stepped up next to me, eyeing the buggy rumble off through the dull day. You see the fight you're in now? I do. He's got the rules, the purse, and tabs on most folks' trades. You've got 2 days of okay visits and 30 till the judge picks forever watch. Lena's breath puffed white between us. What's your plan? I twisted my pocket watch, feeling that steady tick in my hand. 2:47, stuck in my head like the minute I found him. I'm gonna see he ain't alone and locked when he goes. And I'm gonna block Harlan Crow from cashing in on it. The visit spot in Sheriff Thorpe's office was a tight 8-foot box, warmed by a little stove that crackled and snapped. Myra sat tucked in the corner like the rule said, clicking her needles on some knit thing while acting like she wasn't hearing. I'd hauled what I could tote. A loaf of bread, hot off Clara's oven, wrapped in a cloth that smelled like rising dough and sweet cream. 6 shiny blue ribbons from the general store, and a storybook, The Jungle Book. Finn perched across the tiny table from me, hands neat in his lap like Tuchin. Stuff needed a nod first. The dark spots on his wrists had turned deep purple-black. I fetched you a treat, I said, slid in the bread his way. He eyed the loaf but stayed put, like it might trick him. Go on, it's yours now, I said soft. Little by little, he stretched out and pinched off a chunk. His fingers wobbled so much it almost slipped away. When he got it to his lips at last, he munched slow, like he'd clean forgot the feel of a real bite. His eyelids shut tight. When did you eat last? I wondered out loud. Can't say. Uncle Harlan figures I'm too pricey to fill up right. I nudged the ribbons over next. These re for you, too. Spotted M in the shop glass and reckoned, well, a boy deserves a dash of shine now and then. He brushed one with just a fingertip, light as a moth wing, scared it'd puff to smoke. Then he lifted his gaze to mine, eyes wise way past his years. Why you tray autonomy kind? Cause somebody's gotta. But you don't know nothing about me. I know plenty. He went still a spell, twisting one ribbon around his pinky. The stove popped soft. Out the window, wind shook the panes like it was knocking her to join in. At last, his word slipped out, quiet as a secret. My ma and pa went 2 years back. Wagon wheel snapped on the hill trail. Tumbled right off the edge. I was staying with Aunt Nora in the village, so I missed it. Wasn't there. His throat hitched. Uncle Harlan rode in to fetch me. Promised he'd look after things. Things was okay at first. But then he grumbled I was draining his pockets. Said the farm was his fair share. That I was nothing but trouble gnawing at his due. What due? The farm. And the stream shares. Uncle claims they're big money. Train folks wanna snake rails cross the land. Gotta have water for their puffin' engines. He hacked then, deep and bubbly into his cuff. He shut me in the barn half a year gone. Called it just for a bit till he fixed stuff, but he scarce showed after, 'cept to tip a jug now and then. Even that dried up. My jaw locked so tight it twinged. He rough you up more in the chain. He dipped his head, eyes on the floor. I ached to smash the wall with my knuckles. But I cracked open the book instead. You read any? Ma started showing me, but it slipped my mind. Then we'll pick it back up, you and me. I flipped to the start. Asterisk The Jungle Book asterisk by Rudyard Kipling. Chapter 1. It was the wet season. A spark jumped in his eyes, the first since we crossed paths. I kept on with the words the whole 2 hours, till Lena tapped the door to say time's up. When I pushed back my chair, Finn snagged my hand. First he'd reached out on his own. You lose a little boy once, Miss Thorne? The word struck like a stone from a sling. I froze, throat thick, that old hurt tearing the wide again. My gem, 8 years gone, taken by the red fever 7 winters prior. Thomas, my man, faded from sorrow a year on. And I'd piled up riches since just to echo in a home too hollow for one soul. Finn studied me with those sharp, seeing eyes. You know how to be a ma, he murmured. I can spot it. 3 days on, Lena Thorpe showed at my spread right as the sun peaked. I was out in the stable, forking straw, when her pony nickered. She clutched some sheets and wore a tight-lipped grin. Dug up dirt, she said. Poked through Harlan's bank books, the locked ones in the big safe, not his desk mess. Had to sweet-talk the clerk to peek. Turns out, Harlan's charged Finn's holdings for his keep, $5 a day, steady as clockwork for 2 years. That's north of 3,600, for scare that was chains and dirt sleeping the dot. For the kind of watching that was a stall floor and scraps. Lena spread the pages. Dr. Tabs, clothes, grub, schooling, all tallied neat, sucked from the kid's pot. But I quizzed every trader in Willow Ridge. Not a scrap matches these bills or tallies. Man's been skimming off a young UN. The air hung thick with fresh hay and pony wafts, a whiff of the muck I'd pitched. I propped on the fork, letting it settle. That's Chayotin and Steerlin, and half a dozen more hooks I can hang him on. Lena's smile stretched. Ring into quick meet today. Judge Silas is still around. Words fly in his way. Harlan'll buck hard. Let him buck. His counts are stashed safe in my spot. He ain't twigged they're missing yet. The meeting house felt lighter this round, not so jammed, but the crowd shifted. More hands from the fields, fewer shopkeepers. Word got around quick about the bank books. Myra sat next to me, her doctor's kit by her boots. Harlan rolled in tardy, his cheeks flushed mad already. Judge Silas rapped his hammer. We're gathered for a fast change in watching over, thanks to fresh proof. Sheriff Lena laid out the pages one by one. The judge's brow furrowed deeper with every line. $5 a day, 730 days straight. All scratched in Harlan's own tidy script. Mr. Crow, Silas boomed, voice hard as nails. You've got half a minute to say why I shouldn't lock you up this instant. Those are secret bank slips, Harlan sputtered. They're signs of Chayotin a young kid's trust. Harlan's lawman jumped up, hollering no, but Silas shushed him with a flick. I've had my fill. Quick watch goes to Ilara Thorne for 60 days, while we dig full into the money mess. Finster head home with her right off. Lena, make it happen. The hammer thumped. I sat there, dazed like a stunned pony. Myra gripped my elbow. You pulled it off, she breathed. But as I stepped out to Harlan's buggy to grab Finn, I caught his glare through the glass, not beat, but scheming, wheels turning to fast. Finn was curled in the back, swaddled in a ratty old quilt. Spotting me, he shook all over, then the tears came. Big, gulping cries that sounded bottled up forever. Am I truly coming with you? He hiccuped through the wet. Yes, little man. I lifted him to my wagon. He felt light as a puff of cloud. Myra hopped up with us. As the wheels creaked toward my spread, she bent near and murmured, Ilara, we got a chat tonight once he's out. The edge in her whisper knotted my gut. What's up? Not now. After dark. 3 weeks on the ranch mended spots I didn't know were cracked. Finn bunked in the spare room, the one dusk gathering since Thomas passed, the door I'd skirted shut for 7 years. Myra took the next door over, claiming she aimed to track his health tight. I figured she also meant to prop me if I wobbled. First sunrise, Finn hovered in the kitchen frame, like step-pinned in might get him shooed. I was grinned in coffee beans, same as my lone routine for ages, but the hush felt warmer now. Morning, Finn. Belly rumbling. He bobbed his head. I whipped up eggs and fluffy rolls, heaps more than one soul wanted, and I'd him dig in. He speared bites polite, like dust-in froth old supper ways from before the locks. After a few forkfuls, his face crumpled wet. What's eating you? Nothing's bad, he mumbled. That's the trouble. It's all good, and I'm waiting for the boot to drop. Come week 2, he'd packed on 8 pounds. Myra called it a win, but I caught her gaze each dawn check, ear to his chest, eyeing that sticky cough that lingered like a shadow. Finn pitched in with easy jobs, gathering hen eggs, smoothing wash. He wandered the place soft-footed, like etching it to memory, fingers light on the drapes, shelf tails, the whittled goose Thomas carved for our first vow day. Tell me about your husband, he piped one dusk, while I spun the Jungle Book yarns his way. What you curious for? Did he like stories, too? He sure did. Read to our boy every night for lights out. Finn's peepers went round. You had a son? It tumbled out careless. The hidden ache, cork 7 years, gushed free like a split bucket. Jem. He left us at 8. The fever got him. Thomas, my love, followed a year later. Doc blamed his ticker, but I knew the truth. Sorrow's what done it. I'm sorry they went, Finn said, plain and true, stinging and sharper than fancy words ever could. Me too. A beat hung. That why you know kid ways. 'Cause you mamad once. Reckon so. He pondered quiet, then, think Jem take to me. My throat lumped thick. He'd have been your pal, thick as thieves. By week 3, Finn let loose laughs now and then. Tiny chuckles at first, shy like he was trying if happy was okay to let out. He picked up the names of every cow, spun yarns about their bossy ways. He pitched in fixin' for a busted rail, his little fingers gripping the twine while I nailed it down. Miss Thorne? Yeah? Uncle Harlan said I own the brook that winds through the spread. That right. Your folks' place comes with water shares on the big stream. Water's 5 farms down the way, mine too. It's worth a heap, especially with the train line eyeing the way through. He mulled that over. That's why Uncle wanted. His words trailed, and he hushed up again. The breeze hauled scents of fir trees and chilly dirt. That special whiff of late winter when the earth teases melting but ain't ready yet. That night, we sat at the long table for supper. Me, Finn, and Myra. Finn spun a tale about a hen he dubbed Miss Saupers. Right in the middle of a giggle, the cough struck. Rougher than before, deeper, splashy. He snatched his napkin, twisted away. When he peeked back, I spotted it. Blood, darker now. A whole lot more. Myra's spoon clinked sharp on her dish. Finn, she said, keeping her tone even. I gotta check you over this second. Myra's look-see dragged 20 minutes. I paced the hall outside his door, catching a bit of talk, a hack here and there. My pocket watch spun in my fist again, cranked so tight I swore the works might snap. 3:15, 3:16. 3:17. When Myra stepped out at last, her look said it all for her mouth did. Parlor, quick! We huddled by the chilly hearth. Out the glass, I watched the sun's last glow fade from the hills, turning all to soft grey haze. It's creeping, Myra said. Hit both lungs full, and now there's lung fever brewing. The skimpy eats and raw cold from them 6 months in the store, his body's too beat to push back. She stopped, then laid it bare. I pegged 6 months at the hearing. I missed the mark. For to 8 weeks, Ilara. Could be shorter. The floor wobbled under me. I braced on the shelf to hold steady. I figured the hot meals, the cozy. I thought we'd bought time. I hope the same. Myra's words were kind but solid. But the lung rot don't mind our best plans. Don't give a hoot for cash or cures or how deep we care. It's claiming's him, Ilara. Only thing left is if he hurts bad or slips easy. There gotta be a fix. City docs in Boulder, newfangled fixies. He'd fade on the trail for you cleared a mile. And if he held on, they'd echo what I'm saying a plane. Myra touched my arm. You can't snatch him back. But you can hand him what Harlan never would. Real worth, heart, a gentle end instead of a cruel one. Air stuck in my chest. The room squeezed close, stuffy as a storm. I can't, Myra. Can't sit by while another boy's taken. Not twice. You won't sit solo, she said soft. And this round, you get to whisper farewells. Jem slipped offs for you could say you cherished him. Finn's right here, naid in you still. Up to you or hide from it or stand tall. I itched to holler, fight, do anything but swallow the sour truth. But Myra nailed it. I dodged hurt 7 years, stacking coins and quiet walls sky high to keep safe. Now a frail 9-year-old had hopped every barrier. What now? I croaked, voice cracking. You pour love into his days left. Show him he counts, he ain't lonesome, somebody picked him special. Myra gave my arm a press. And when it's time, you let go graceful. That night, I lingered on the veranda long past their bedtimes. Chill sank in, ice rimming the rail. Off in the black, a prairie wolf yipped, another yap in the back. The call of wild things linking up in the big nowhere. I twisted my pocket watch once more. 3:47. Time slipped on, whether I wished it still or not, and up in that room, a boy I'd known just 3 weeks was fading, and no pile of gold could stretch his days longer. All I could buy was making sure those days counted big. The morning a breeze smelled like waking ground and fresh starts, even if I knew deep it was fool's hope. March rolled in with softer gusts, melting the frost on the stock tanks, churning paths to slop. Finn sat in the rolling chair Myra borrowed from the chapel. Too tuckered now to shuffle more than a handful of steps without puffing her out. "Can we head outdoors?" he asked. "Just a spell." I bundled him in quilts and wheeled him down the slope I'd nailed to the back stoop. The wheels gummed in the muck, but it didn't matter a whit. He craved a peek at more than just boards and beams. We parked by the pen where the cows munched grass. New spring babies were dropping, all knock-kneed and nosy. Finn watched them with a glow on his pale cheeks, like magic. "They don't know their luck," he said. "Coming into a world that's bloomin', not windin' her down." "You're not windin' her down," I started. "You're just—" Couldn't choke out the fib. "It's fine, Miss Thorne." I heard Doc Langford chatting. "I know I'm slippin' her away." He said it flat as yesterday's news, crackin' me wide. "I ain't frettin' it no more. Just don't want it to sting fierce." I dropped to one knee by the chair, so our eyes lined up even. "It won't. Myra'll keep it gentle." "Good." He hushed a tick. "Then, what'll happen to your farm when you go?" The ask blindsided me. "Dunno. Ain't mulled it much." "You oughta. It's mighty fine. Somebody needs to mind it." I gazed over the acres I'd snagged with herd sales and trained stakes. The whole kit I'd stacked to plug the hollow spots. "I been ponderin'," I said slow, tweaklin' my last words, "settin' cash aside to raise a heel house for young uns like you. So they get right tendined without the ache." His peepers popped wide. "How much cash?" 120,000. The sum was too giant for kid thoughts, but he caught the heart of it. "That'd be mighty kind," he breathed. "Kids deserve fixers who truly care." The breeze freshened, toting a whiffs of brush and heating a clay. A bobolink piped from the rail. Finn tilted toward the trill, lid shut like he was locking it in forever. "Uncle Harlan told me I was a waste of grub," he said. "Said I'd never be worth a hill of beans. But if a heel house rises, cause of me, that counts for something, don't it?" "You count plenty already, Finn, just by show win jap here." He grinned faint and weary. "You're a top-notch fibber, Miss Thorne." That dusk, Lena Thorpe swung by the spread with Clara Voss and 5 more ladies from Willow Ridge. They packed my sitting room, hauling scents of wet yarn and grit. "We gotta hash out Harlan," Lena jumped in, no fluff. "I've scratched deeper in them bank slips. The stealin' runs past what I showed the judge. He's pinched over 12,000 from Finn's pot in 2 years flat." Clara plunked her knitwork. "And I've jawed with neighbors. The farrier's missus recalls spying a Finn with welts for he vanished. The school marm marked he quit showin' 6 months gone. Folks sniffed trouble, but clammed up cause Harlan pulls too many debt strings in town. That shifts today," piped Nellie Pike, who minded the trade post. "We're collectin' pen stories. Any who spied, heard, or guessed, we'll stack them high. Won't be your lone say-so against his no more, Ilara. He's cooking a scheme," I put in. "Myra said he scratched at the door 3 times last week while I was in the village. She shoot him each go, but his scratchin' frantic." Lena hunched ahead, arms on thighs. "Train cut-offs loomin', May 15th. He needs Finn to scribble over the stream shares or fade for his 12th summer." That fake last words I sniffed out, that spells the hall drops to him only if Finn goes early. When's his birthday? November 3rd. He'll hit 10. So Harlan's got half a year, I said. But Finn's got weeks. The air hung thick and still. Drizzle tapped on the metal roof, steady and stubborn. There's more, Lena went on. Got a tip this afternoon. Harlan filed a challenge. Says Finn's too sick to speak true in court. Claims the fever's got him seeing things wrong, that any tales he told about rough times ain't worth a nickel. Wants him back under his thumb. Meeting in 10 days. My fingers balled up tight. He wants him back to wrap up what he begun, Clara said, face hard. Let the boy fade on his watch and snatch the farm shares. Not while I draw breath, Lena said, standing, and tugged in her hat. Might get close to that, Ilara. Harlan Crow don't quit easy, and he's got law hounds cash can hire. We gotta outsmart him. Write down every bit. Keep eyes on us always. And heaven help us, don't hand him a reason to call you no good. Once they filed out, I sat solo in the sitting room, ear on the reins patter. Upstairs, Myra was reading to Finn about jungle beasts and bold boys. The kid's giggle floated down, light and sparkly, even if it was faint. 10 days. A meeting. And a fade-in the boy squeezed twixt rules and grabby wants. I spun my pocket watch. For 23, time marched on, each tick stealing a bit I couldn't claw back. Out yonder, Harlan Crow was hatching his next play, and I had to brace for it. The whispers kicked off in the tavern. By the time they hit the chapel walk, they'd grown sharp edges. Ilara Thorne's acting the big rescuer, but it's all for the gold. Them stream rights are 50,000 worth. She smells easy pickings in a sick kid, same as Harlan. Maybe sharper. Least his kin. I caught it fresh 3 days later, lingering by the trade shop while Slop tugged at my boots. 2 traders were hauling goods, their chat drifting on the misty air. Crow's got a point, one grumbled. Loaded lady dives in, plays the kind heart, and when the boy's gone, she's set to snag the farm through some court trick. Happens plenty. But Harlan's his blood, the other said. That gotta tip the scale some. I swung round the bend. Both went mum, cheeks pinkin'. Howdy, fellas, I said, tip-pin a my brim. They muttered hellos and hustled off, cartwheels sloshing through rust-red pools. The cloud sagged heavy and dull, promising a more wet. All smelled like soaked ground and mouldy bits. Spring knocking, but stallin' at the door. By worship day, half Willow Ridge swallowed Harlan's yarn. He was sly about it, never spilling straight, just dropping hints in soft dirt. I'm frettin' over my nephew, he'd say at the bank. Ilara's solid folk, but she's lonesome, achin' for kin. What if she pours time and coin into him, then he slips away? Might she eye a piece of his due? I'm just guardin' what's fair his. The talk was venom in a worried wrapper. The clash hit on the main drag Tuesday evening. I was walking my pony to the stable when Harlan hopped from the bank, bookended by his suit fella and 2 strangers. Train bosses, judging by their city duds and steely stares. Thorne! Harlan hollered, loud for the dozen folks mill in. Let's chew on Finn. Nothing to jaw over. I figure there is. He stomped nearer, boot sucking in the goo. I've held back. Let you have days with him. Didn't buck the watch order full out. But folks are wondering about your reasons. About what jumps to you when the kid fades. My reasons? Keeping him brayer thin and cozy. That's so. Harlan's tone climbed, playing to the watchers. Or you angling at a lock-in watch over his stuff. A ranch boss like you don't hunger for that haul. But maybe it's the reins you crave. The say-so. My teeth ground. You had him chained in a stall. I kept him from hurting his own self. Boy was wild, couldn't hold still. He tips the scales at 60 pounds and wheezes crossin' to room without spit tin red. 'Cause you've let him waste away on your shift. Harlan's mug twisted. I'm pushing for a quick watch flip. That kid's slip pin, and you're milking him for. I edged ahead. Harlan's paw twitched to his jacket. The train bosses shuffled their feet, waiting tense. Spit it out, I told him soft but firm. You're a loaded lady sniffing gold in a sick boy, Harlan said, his words turning icy sharp. Least I'm straight about kin duties. You're just play acting the big saver while tallying the haul you'll grab when he's gone. The whole street froze quiet, folks peer in from doorways and panes, steps halt in midway, all eyes on us, Wayne, picking her sides. I burned to sock him, feel his jaw crack under my fist. But I spun round and trudged off, tugged my pony through the slop, leaving Harlan there with his smug grin. Behind me, he yapped to his lord dog, plenty loud to drift, see? Can't even stand up for hisself. Feels the blame, I'd bet. That night, Lena Thorpe slipped to the spread after sunset. She rapped 3 times, our secret knock, and I waved her through the back door. Rain thumped the shingles, cold and non-stop. Packed a find for you, Lena said, fishing a paper from her jacket. Went to some trouble, but I cracked the town scribe's old files. This here's the last words filed when Finn's ma and pa passed. She smoothed it on the table, neat and plain, everything to Finn, with Harlan mindin' till he hit 18. Now I this. She set another sheet next to it. This is the one I sniffed out hid in Harlan's stall. The new one twisted things. Same scribbles, same watches, but the writing is shifted. If Finn fades for his 12th summer, the farm drops straight to Harlan Crow, his ma's brother and watcher. If he hangs on past 12, it flips back like the first. Scribbles are faked, Lena said. Had a pen was from Cheyenne Check Yem. This phony got whipped up last 6 months, right after he barred the boy in the barn. Spot on. Lena jabbed the date. See this? Pegged 2 weeks for his folks went. But the sheet's off. This fancy cloth paper weren't sold in these parts till last year. Man slipped up bad. My brain spun wild. Finn's birthday's November 3rd. He'll turn 10. Means he gotta go in the next 8 months for this fake to stick. But get this, Ilara. Train cutoff's May 15th, 2 weeks off. They crave the stream pass okayed by then, or they shove the tracks 20 miles south. That's 20,000 Harlan's bankin' Ron. So he's cornered, I said, piecing it slow. Needs the boy kicking long enough to scratch his name on the train deal, but gone for 12 to snag the whole kit. And Myra says he's down to weeks. His ricin' clocks on both sides, turnin' him wild. Lena bundled the papers. Wild folks do wild stuff. Brace yourself, Ilara. His gearing up, and it's closin' fast. Myra popped in the doorframe, cheeks ashen. How fast? Lena met her gaze. He tried buyin' off my second today. Dangled 200 to wink if trouble hit the thorn place. Kid ran it to me straight. But some might bite the bait, I wrapped up. You can't guard us round the clock. And if he rolls up with hands, swearing to his square by his watch rights. Lena shook her head. Rules lean his way till we nail the Chayotan in open court. And that drags time Finn ain't got. Thunder growled nearer. Rain pounded harder, like fists on tin. He's coming to snatch him, Myra said. Or end him here and call it the sick Tarkeen its toll. Winds either road. I rose and crossed to the glass. Out in the flash of lightning, I caught the barn glow, the sloppy yard, the twisty trail to the village. Somewhere in the wet dark, Harlan Crow was scheming, paying and off, set tinner traps. Then we block his shot, I said. We gear up. Round up every eye we trust. Jot every scrap. And we make dead sure when he rides in, and he will, or we're set to meet him. Lena tugged her hat back on. I'll post trusty fellas round the edges, quiet like, and I'll stack the bad doings case, the fake scribble, the pocket draining, the lot. But Ilara, she hung at the threshold. You grasp the fight you're facing? Lena said at the door. He's got law hounds, deep pockets, and half Willow Ridge jumpy about their loans. You've got a fade-in boy and a clock winding down fast. I grasp it full. After Lena rode off, I slumped at the kitchen table, the fake will laid out like a bad hand. Upstairs, Finn's cough rattled soft, then Myra's gentle hush followed. The clink of the pain drops being poured, the sound of ease in the kids heard while the end creeps close. Harlan Crow craved him gone for November 3rd. Finn likely wouldn't see May's bloom. The meanest twist, we were both chasing the same Titkins beat. Finn weren't meant to catch it. Myra and I were whispering in the hall by his door, keeping voices low, but the panel hung ajar, and the boy was always sharper than pine sap. For weeks, Myra was saying, maybe shorter. The lung fever's pushing quicker'n I figured. I'm slipping him pain drops now. Tiny sips detain the ache, but pretty soon, that's all we'll manage. Keep him cozy while he... I know, I cut in. Quiet hunk thick. Then a hitch from the room. A quick little gasp, swallowed fast. I nudged the door wide. Finn propped in his bed, quilt tugged to his chin, eye shiny in his skinny face. He'd been leaking tears, but dabbed at quick, like he'd practiced in Harlan's stall. How much do you hear? I asked. Enough. His words wobbled. I'm going. For real. Not moons from now, weeks. Myra stepped to perch on the bed edge, but Finn waved her off. Don't spin tales about it fixing itself or magic tricks or such. Just lay it straight, please. I dropped into the seat by his side. The air held sharp soap and the flower pouches Myra tucked round to mask the sick whiff. Out the window, rain plinked from the overhang, a sad, even beat. The lung rot's got both sides full, I said. That time locked in the cold stall, no real food, it wore your fight down. Doc Langford's pulling every string, but some hurts outrun fixes. How long? A month. Bit more, bit less. Can't pin it exact. He took it in, tiny fists bunching at the cover. Does it sting at the close? No, Myra said strong. I'll see to that. The drops'll keep you easy. You'll just wear out, and then I'll nod off and stay sleeping. Finn's tone evened, tarking it like a 9-year-old face in the dark with more heart than plenty grown folks I'd met. Like Ma and Pa. Like them, I echoed. He stared at his palms a long spell. Then, Miss Thorne, 'member you said I hold the brook windin' through the spread? I remember. How many folks count on that water? 5 farms down the line. 'Bout 30 families, could be more. It's their big drink for growin' things. And Uncle Harlan eyes it for the train line. Yes. So if I go and he grabs the haul, what about them families? I flicked a look at Myra. She tipped her head, give it true. The train suck most the flow for their steam beasts. Farms go dry. Folks pack up or sell cheap. This whole hollow turn upside down. Finn weighed it, his young mug set solemn. That ain't fair. They didn't do wrong. Can't lose it all 'cause I'm slippin' the dot. Finn, I wanna hand 'em the place, he burst out sudden. Not to Uncle Harlan, not the train. To the village, for a learnin' house or such, so young uns can spell words like you showed me. And them families keep their drink. The downpour swelled, thumping a fiercer on the shingles. A lightning wink lit the room. In that quick glow, his face showed, peaked, white, but steely. That's your due, Finn, I said. $50,000. Your tomorrow's. I ain't got tomorrows, Miss Thorne. He laid it plain, cut in a deeper in any holler. But I could gift some to others. That's countin' for something, huh? Like you figured. Myra dabbed her eyes. I couldn't squeeze a word. You'll stand by me? Finn asked. Make the Ritz tight so Uncle Harlan can't swipe it after. I will, I choked out. I swear it. He sank back into the pillows, all tuckered out sudden. Good. That's real good. His eyelids drooped heavy. I'm pooped now. Myra spooned out the pain drops while I sat close, watching a boy who'd only known meanness decide to share every bit he owned. By sundown, Lena swung back with a law lady from Cheyenne, a slim gal named Lydia Beaumont who knew all about land shares. We huddled in my office while Finn dozed up top, Myra keeping watch. It's square, Lydia said, eyeing the papers she'd scratched up. Finn, sharp as a tack, hands his farm to the village of Willow Ridge in a safe hold for a town school and keeping of the stream flow for farms down the way. Once he signs with eyes on it, can't nobody undo it. Will it stand against Harlan's fuss? I asked. If he puts his name clear-headed with lots of watchers, and we rush it to the town scribed right off? Yep. That phony last words don't matter a lick. No farm left for Harlan to grab. All locked for the hold. Lena propped on the desk. He'll kick up dust. Let him. Dust settles his way. Lydia bundled her sheets. But hear this, soon as it's filed, Harlan ain't got no call to keep Finn Brea thin. Right now, he's stuck wanting his scribble for the train deal but cravin' him gone for the farm. Sign this hold, and he drops both. Might ride hard for him. To block the sign or worse, I wrapped up. Spot on. After Lydia headed out, Lena and I hashed a plan. She'd set 3 solid fellas round the edges, my old ranch hands who'd stick true, no matter Harlan's shiny coins. We shifted Finn's room to the house heart, far from glass. I slicked my rifle and counted bullets. Clara Voss showed near midnight with 2 more gals from town. We'll spell each other, she said. Eyes open always. You try holding cuss back, Ilara Thorne, and I'll whop your shoulder. I didn't hold them back. The land gift paper sat on my desk, waiting for his mark. Tomorrow, if Finn had the steam, we'd call folks and seal it. 1 scribble, and Harlan's tricks tumble. 1 scribble, and a slip-pin Boyd save 30 families he never laid eyes on. I perched on the veranda close to 2 a.m., rifle cross my lap, ear to the quiet. Rained quit, but the goose sucked at every rustle. Mice, maybe, or night critters. The whiff of soaked dirt hung thick, deep, and loamy. Then I caught it, not like beast noise. Slow ponies, a bunch, creeping up the trail, trying sneaky. I jumped up, pumping the rifle lever with a snap like snap-pin sticks in the black. The front door creaked behind. Lena stepped out, pistol ready, then Clara, clutching a scattergun like she'd tamed it before. The ponies halted just past the rail. For riders, 5 shadows maybe in the murk. That's close enough, I hollered. A match scratched bright. In the quick flare, Harlan Crow sat tall on a big bay, sided by fellas packing with a heft of paid shooters. I'm fetchin' a my nephew, he called. Watcher by rights. You toss that right chaining's him in a stall. Judge sees different. Got writs from the town scribe. Quick order. Says the boy's too poorly to think straight. Watch flips back to me now. He waved a sheet. You're back in the rules, Thorne. Funny, Lena said, slid into the light, her sheriff pin shinin'. I didn't stamp no such thing. And I'm the rules round here. Harlan's pony danced uneasy. Hi, judge from Cheyenne. Trump's your say, sheriff. At 2 a.m. with gun hands. That ain't how handoffs roll, Harlan. Lena lifted her shooter. You and yours wheel around. Show at daylight with real proof, and maybe we chat. For a long beat, nothing stirred. The hired paws crept to their irons. My finger hugged the trigger tight. Then from the house, a noise. Fin hacking deep and wild. The rattle of a boy on his way out. Harlan grinned in the shadows. Time was running out for all of us. Thorne too. And he wheeled his pony round and galloped off. his crew trailing behind. But deep in my gut, I knew this mess weren't done. They showed the next evening. I was nodding off in the rocker by Finn's bed when I heard it. Boots scrapping soft on the porch. Then the back door knob twisting, poking, Finn in rip bolted tight. I was up quick for the window shattered. "Myra!" I hollered. "Get Finn to the storm cellar." The doc popped in the door, still in her sleep dress. She snatched Finn from his blankets. The boy scare stirred, lost deep in the sleepy drops, and dashed for the kitchen steps. I snagged my rifle and hustled to the hall. 3 fellas were climbing through the busted pane. I blasted once at the roof beams. The boom shook the tight space like thunder, and it worked like a charm, froze M halfway, made M pause. "Next bullet bites skin," I growled. From the yard, Harlan's voice. "We're here fair and square, Thorn. Quick watch order. At 3 a.m. by smashing a glass. More racket. Front door cracking it under a bash." They'd hauled a log. I backed to the kitchen, shooting 2 more shots to hold Rem off. The air stank of powder burn and worry. Then from out front, a new noise. Pony hooves, a herd of M, pounding hard. Clara Voss's call boomed like a town bell. "Hold it right there, Harlan Crow." I peeked through the kitchen glass. What I spied made me reckon wonders were real. 15 riders, 20 maybe, surge in from the south field. Lena Thorpe up front, her sheriff badge flashing in the lantern glow. Trailing her, cowpunchers from nearby spreads, dirt farmers, the smithy, even grey-haired Reverend Hale from the chapel. Every soul gripped a long gun or scatterer. The break-in boys went stiff. Harlan perched on his pony in the yard, cheeks ghost white in the light. "Sheriff," he barked, trying the bossy. "This is by the book." "No judge hands quick watch at 3 a.m., Lena shot back. "What you're pulling is bustin' yin, trying to swipe a kid." A full-on attack, she waved at her bunch. "All these eyes see it. So listen close. You and your paid shooters drop the irons. Stroll with me nice, or we settle it rough." One of Harlan's goons, a Mark George Ruff from Cheyenne, poured for his shooter. 3 barrels swung his way. He thought better. "This ain't finished," Harlan spat, voice quaking ramad. "That farm's mine true." The boys too muddled. "The deal ain't." He clamped shut, seeing his slip. Lena grinned slow. "What deal's that?" Harlan stuttered. "The train path scribble. The one made in Finn's mark. Ain't it funny, you just spilled your Y to 20 watchers." Harlan's face burned from white to beet. "I meant, that is." "You meant every word." Lena yanked her pistol. "You're nabbed for trying to snatch, smashing in, and 6 more I'll dream up by sunup. Lads, strip their gear." Judge Silas Kane rolled up to my spread 3 days on, toting a court writer and a hide bag stuffed with writs. Finn was too puny to ride, so the rules came calling. We rigged the sitting room like a quick court, whiffing of shiny wood and the rose water Myra used to freshen Finn's cheeks. Finn sat in his rolling chair, piled in quilts even with spring warm and soft. His breath wheezed hard, bubbly in his chest. He'd shed more pounds, cheeks hollow as bones, but his eye shone clear and set. Harlan stood shackled twixt 2 law boys, his fine coat wrinkled, mug drawn and beat. The spark was snuffed. "Just sour left." Judge Silas clanged a ladle on a tin mug, our stand-in hammer. "This here's a fast meet on the bad doings against Harlan Crow and settlin' Finn's farm shares. Let's roll." Lena laid out the proof first. The bank book show winned 12,400 swiped from Finn's pot over 2 years, $5 a day for watch that was locks and hunger. The faked last words with its wrong weave paper and sloppy marks. The sworn words from 20 folks who'd spied Harlan bust into my place. The bad man's own mouth, Lena said, right in front of a crowd. "That farm's mine. The deal don't count." He owned up he was chasin' o' the train path. Needed Finn's scribble or the boy gone to pocket it all. Silas pored over the papers quiet. Out the windows, birds piped up. Thrushes and wrens. The chirp of spring finally bust in the loose. Warm dirt scents wafted in on the breeze. "Hayes," Silas said at last. "I've eyed plenty greedy grabs in my 30 years judgin'. But skimming from a sick young UN while pretending to watch him? That's rock bottom new." He turned to Finn. "Son, you got words in you." "Yes, sir." Finn's voice piped thin but sure. "You follow what's going on. My uncle swiped my ma and PA's gold. He barred me up so I'd fade and he'd snag it all. And he pushed me to mark train papers. He hacked into a rag. When he tugged it back, red showed. But I don't want him chewchin' a bit. I wanna hand it to the village stead. The farm gift writ," Lydia Beaumont said, "step-pin up. Finn aims to lock his hold you in a safe pot for a town learning spot and holding with a stream flow for the Hollows farms." Papers reset and watched. Silas scanned the deed. "This stick's legal. Once marked, the farm's forever in the pot. That your heart's pick, Finn?" "Yes, sir. Them families need the drink, and young uns ought to learn spellings like Miss Thorne showed me. And let's seal it." Lydia laid the sheet on a knee-board cross Finn's chair. I passed him my pen, the fine one with the silver tip. His fingers quivered fierce. I figured he might not pull it off, but he did. Finn Elias Hayes, in neat print that dragged 2 minutes full. Clara and Lena signed watch. Lydia stamped it true. Silas notched it done. "Filed and set," he said. "Finn's farm's now safe held for Willow Ridge. Mr. Crow, you got no hook on any slice." Harlan's mug folded like wet paper. "He's just a kid. Don't get it." "He gets it sharper 'en you," Silas snapped cold. "And his kinder 'en you'll ever scrape." He nodded at the law boys. "Harlan Crow, you're penned 15 years in the big house for skimming, chayotin, ruffin' a young UN, and trying to swipe him. Haul him off." They yanked Harlan out. He didn't buck or yap, just a busted fella who'd bet the spread on a boy's ending and came up empty. When the door thunked shut, Finn sagged in his chair. Myra was there quick, feeling his beat. "Did I do right?" Finn breathed. "You nailed it perfect," I said. He grinned soft. Then the hacking kicked up again. Rough, splashy, wild. Myra poured drops with wobbly hands. The rag spots ran darker now. Thicker. "Ilara," Myra murmured, tugged Jin and me aside. "It's here. Days now. A week if stars align." "Not weeks." I eyed Finn, the writ that had just saved 30 families. The boy who'd handed over every bit to lift folks he'd never nod to. And I knew Myra spoke true. The courts rapped. Fair played one. Now rolled the tough stretch, saying so long. That last week crawled slow, like thick syrup in the frost. Finn dozed more'n he stirred. And when his eyes cracked, he weren't full there, floatant in the drop fog, now and then beamin' at sights just for him. Myra showed me the pourin'. 2 drips every 4 hours for the hurt, she said, combed in rem from the dark vial. If breath-in's tough, 3. If he calls for extra, give it. No call for pain now. My fingers danced shaky first time solo. Finn watched with those wise peepers. "It's fine, Ms. Thorne," he whispered. "You got it true." I spun him tales every afternoon. Asterisk the Jungle Book asterisk from the top. We'd wrapped it once, and he craved another go. Sometimes he'd whisper the lines with me, the bits he'd tucked in his memory. Sometimes he'd just lay there, his breaths a bubbly wheeze that never quit. The village ladies swung by in turns, like they'd done in the big standoff. But now they wore blue ribbons pinned to their blouses. Every last one. Clara toted stew. Nellie Pike fetched a tune box that chimed soft and sweet. Even the smithy's wife showed up. A tough gal who'd scarce said a warm word her whole days. And she hunkered by Finn's bed and wept quiet. Why they all so kind now? Finn wondered one noon. 'Cause you handed Em a gift nobody else would, I said. Hope. A tomorrow. Your farm means them families keep their homes. Their kids get a school. That's big stuff, Finn. He mulled it over. Wish I could peek at it. The school, I mean. You will. Just not how you picture. On the 6th day, he passed out his ribbons, holding one back for hisself, giving the other 5 to the gals who stopped in, daughters of cowhands and dirt growers, bashful young uns who'd heard about the boy who owned a brook, and gave it free. So you remember me, Finn told each. And remember to be good to folks. On the 7th day, May 8th, he stirred for the sun. I was napping in the rocker by his bed, and his voice tugged me awake. Miss Thorne, I'm here. Can we catch the dawn? I want to see spring once more. I scooped him to the veranda, wrapped in the blanket his ma stitched. Blue and white patches, worn soft from years of hugs. He weighed next to nothing now, just bones and puffs of air and pure grit. Myra trailed quiet, her dock bag slung, but she hung back at the door. This weren't for healers. The sky was lightening east, soft grey blushing at a rose. The breeze carried warm ground and brush smells. That special tang of earth shaking off winter's chill. Off in the cottonwoods, a bobolink kicked up a tune. It's cozy, Finn said, or in his whisper. Truly cozy. First real warm morning. I made it to spring, Miss Thorne. He beamed. That boy's grin that popped rare and lit everything. You sure did. He eyed the edge where the sun poked free. Golden rays washed the hollow, kissing fresh grass, the brook running a bright and full, the hill still iced far off. A wren hopped the rail, tilted its noggin our way, then flitted off. Hear that, he breathed. Birds re-hollerin'th loud. Spring song. That's neat. Spring song. He drew a short, rattly sip. Miss Thorne, can I spill something? Anything. I was scared stiff when you found me. Figured you was just another rough sort. But you weren't. You weren't. He hacked, a splashy shake that rocked him. When it eased, his words came softer. You was gentle. Made me remember how it feels. My throat lumped shut. No words came. And I ain't scared of going now. He peeked up. 'Cause I know love's real. Even if it was short. It weren't short, I rasped. And it weren't small. You count big, Finn. You count. He fished in the blanket and tugged out my pocket watch. I'd handed it over weeks back, and he'd kept it snug since. You take this. Pass it to somebody needin' extra ticks. I got plenty. I took it, the brass toasty from his warmth. Finn, look, he said, full of magic. The shades, they're so fine. The sun sat high now, brushing clouds in peach and yellow and rose. The kind of dawn that whispers the world's got wonders. The bobolinks belted louder, one-upping each other. Blooming brush scent rode the gentle wind. Finn gulped another breath, started to chat about the glow, how it made all shiny new. The air left. The next pull didn't follow. I felt it shift. The way his little frame went loose all over, the fight slip pinned easy like rain through a net. His eyes stayed open, still locked on the dawn light, but he weren't catching it no more. Myra knelt quick by my side, feeling for a beat she knew was done. After a spell, she eased back, tears trailing to her cheeks. He's gone, Ilara. I cradled Finn as the sun lifted higher, kissing her my face warm, kissing his still one gentle. The birds kept warbling. The brook kept babbling. The world rolled steady, not noticing one bit that a 9-year-old boy had just slipped free. And I let out the words I couldn't give Jem. The words I'd hid 7 years deep. The words Finn taught me to share again. I love you, Finn. I love you. The soft gust swept her skyward, into the spring blue where lost bits find home. We laid him down 3 days later, 'neath the cottonwood he'd picked his own self, turned east to greet every sunrise. The whole village showed more hearts than I'd seen huddled anywhere. Every gal and young UN wore a blue ribbon pin proud. I kept my send-off words simple. He breathed 9 years. Most days scratched rough. Last 2 months, he tasted real care. He handed out more'n he held. That's the top mark for any soul. Clara spoke the farm gift writ clear and loud. Shared how the Finn Hayes remember in school groundbreaking kicked off next full moon. The ladies'd already pulled half the billed coin. Reverend Hale wove talk of bright skies, soft mercy, and heaven's little sparks. I caught just edges. My eye stuck on the rest stone, plain slab scratched with his name and days, and under, he brought a spring. With the final scoop of soil, I laid my pocket watch atop the new hill. For the next 1 extra minutes, I breathed low. Folks wandered past, each dropping a meadow bloom, violet monkshood unfurling early on the rise. When the line thinned, his spot lay draped purple and blue, like he snoozed beneath endless heaven. Myra and I lingered last. Sun slid in low now, honeybeams dancing through cottonwood whispers. Dawn singers traded for twilight warblers, their calls milder, like a hush. "He's easy now," Myra said. "I know." And you handed him that when the world slung nothing but thorns. You gave him warmth, standing tall, a kind fade. That's heaps, Ilara. 2 months. Barely 2. It filled his every corner. Myra grazed my arm. He fixed cracks in you. Woke that spark past gold stacks and old aches. That's his forever print. Not the school build, not the fields. You. We ambled home as twilight wrapped soft. Inside, the quiet rang new. Not empty alone, but the hollow of mist. One dwelled here, shone here, and stepped on. On the ledge, the blue ribbon Finn claimed for his. Beside, a scrap in his young print, scratched in a last clear flicker. "Miss Thorne, thanks for Mama in Emmy when shadows loomed. Love, Finn." I scanned it thrice for set in writ gentle. That night, I locked my last writ true. 120,000 for the young uns heel spot, 10 grand more to nurture the school. The balance carved twixt Myra and the creek-blessed families scrapping hardest. And I picked a path. Dawn next, I rode villageward to the lost kid's house. Told the head lady I meant to lend a hand, not shiny dollars, I'd ship those. With days, with tail spinning, with sticking close for overlooked young hearts. She ushered 8 wee ones, 6 to 12, skittish gazes, soft steps, echoing to Finn that barn day. I drew a book, crisp asterisk jungle book asterisk, and dropped to the steps with the M. "Who reads yet?" Sprinkling her hands, wobbly. "Then we'll chase it." Chapter 1. It was the wet time. The air hummed kind, heaven's wide blue, and around my hat brim a blue ribbon bowed neat. Spring bloomed full, and somewhere, I trusted, Finn chased dawn's eternal, like his dream. 5 years gone, I stood at Finn's hill on the day he'd hit 14. The violet monks had bloomed thick around the cottonwood, and the wood sign got swapped for a rock one, paid by the families whose farms still drank deep from the brook. Finn Elias Hayes, 1882 to 1891. He brought a spring. The school stood all done now. 20 kids learning inside. The heel house I'd filled with cash saved its first young life. A boy fighting lung fever, same years as Finn when he left. They named the kid's room after him. I taught reading 3 days a week. Some of them lost young uns I'd started with found homes now. Took in by farm bosses laid in hands and hearts to mend. I'd fixed up for such fits myself. Figuring out that the smartest spend of gold's tying folks together. Myra stuck round Willow Ridge, her fixin' her work boomin'. She'd brought 6 new babes this year, all pink and strong. "Life rolls on," she told me once. That's how we tip our hats to the gone ones. And the brook still flowed bright and plenty, town-owned now. No one claiming it, all watching it kind. On swelter days, I'd spot young uns paddling the shallows, their giggles flow oftener to my stoop. I never tracked that pocket watch nowhere. Set it on the hill, and it slipped off in a week. I fancy some soul-nade in extra minutes snagged it. That's what find wish. Folks poke me now and then why I jumped in. Took a fade-in boy, bucked his uncle, flipped my whole world for 2 quick months with a kid I scarce knew. I lay it plain. I didn't pull him through. He pulled me. Showed a body's real riches ain't stacks of coins or acres. It's sharing a dawns, spinning a tales out loud. The tick when a shaky young UN picks you to trust. Knowing, when your clock winds down, you poured heart big enough to scare loz on it. I reckoned I rode out for a pony that day. Truth? I rode to learn what a soul's truly built for. The bobolink sang sweet. The sun baked cozy. Spring rolled around again, same as ever. And in the breeze, I still caught a boy's whisper, I made it to spring, Miss Thorne. That's heaps more'n I dreamed. More'n any of us dream, truth be told, to chase spring. To hand it on, to know you counted while you breathed. That's plenty. That's the whole kit.